Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 16 of Diehlman at Halftime, the NBA podcast that tops all others. I'm your host, Larry Diehlman. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome aboard, and if you've been a loyal listener, welcome back. We have much to get to today and not a lot of time to do it. We have 5 sections that we'll get into: a general overview of the NBA this week, and our usual highlight, lowlight, random stat, and game of the week. Let's get to our content for the week. There was big news this week out of Philadelphia. MVP frontrunner Joel Embiid will have a procedure to fix a meniscus injury. The injury seemed to come from the Sixers' loss to the Warriors on Tuesday in San Francisco. Jonathan Kuminga of the Warriors fell on Embiid's knee, and Embiid's reaction did not look good. The Cameroon native is averaging 35.3 points, 11.3 rebounds, 5.7 assists, 1.1 steals, and almost 2 blocks per game. Given that the NBA has a new 65-game minimum rule for major awards, this all but takes Embiid out of the MVP race. It doesn't seem to be season-ending, but NBA insiders are saying he'll miss an extended period of time. On Thursday, we learned who is among the All-Star reserves. For the East, we have Boston's Jaylen Brown, Cleveland's Donovan Mitchell, New York's Jalen Brunson, Miami's Bam Adebayo, New York's Julius Randle, Philadelphia's Tyrese Maxey, and Orlando's Paolo Banchero. In the West, we have LA Clippers' Kawhi Leonard, LA Lakers' Anthony Davis, Phoenix's Devin Booker, Minnesota's Anthony Edwards, Golden State's Stephen Curry, LA Clippers' Paul George, and Minnesota's Karl Anthony Towns. There are some interesting things to note here. The first-time All-Stars are Banchero, Maxey, and Brunson. Fans didn't understand how players like Trae Young and Domantas Sabonis were snubbed. Of course, snubs happen every year. If we gave awards to anyone, then there wouldn't really be a point to them. Finally, on Thursday, the Memphis Grizzlies and Houston Rockets made a trade. Memphis traded Steven Adams to Houston for Victor Oladipo and 3 second-round picks. Neither Adams nor Oladipo has played in a game this season due to injuries, so this move is primarily a salary dump. Memphis is trying to get more cap space for the upcoming offseason. Even though this trade does not count toward the trade deadline, in my opinion, this might be a prelude to it. So this episode has an interesting title. If you remember from our Christmas episode, it was Adeste Fidelis, which is Latin for O Come All Ye Faithful. This episode is entitled Laissez, le bon temps rouler, which is French for Let the Good Times Roll. And you will see why I chose that in just a few moments. So, who's raising eyebrows at the moment? Let's get to our highlights section, the New Orleans Pelicans. And if you did not know, Laissez le bon temps rouler is a common saying in the Crescent City. The city of New Orleans is preparing for Mardi Gras, but they might also be excited about the Pelicans actually doing well. The Pelicans are 28-21 and 7th in the West. New Orleans is one of those teams where the health of their superstar determines their fate. Remember last year when they held the top seed for a hot minute in the West and then plummeted because Zion Williamson was hurt? My point exactly. But the Pelicans are a nice up-and-coming team. Williamson gives them 22.3 points, 5.5 rebounds, and about 4.5 assists per night. Brandon Ingram and C.J. McCollum are 2 of their other pieces in New Orleans' Big Three. Ingram and McCollum average a combined 40.6 points per game, and the rest of their numbers are pretty even. The Pelicans also have guys like Herbert Jones, Trey Murphy III, and Jose Grand Theft Alvarado, and he got his nickname from sneaking up behind a player and creating turnovers. In my opinion, New Orleans has a good mix of young players and veterans. You don't want a team with no experience, nor do you want a bunch of 30-year-olds running the show. The Pelicans haven't seen the second round of the playoffs since the 2017-18 season, so hopefully they can fix that and let the good times roll. Their next game is tonight, Monday, February 5th at 8 o'clock. They will host the Toronto Raptors. Let's go to our low light, the Houston Rockets. I considered the Houston Rockets a sneaky playoff contender way back at the start of the season. Maybe it'll happen, maybe not. Houston is 23-26 and 11th in the West. After 3 abysmal seasons under Stephen Silas, the Rockets went out and got Ime Udoka to lead the way. And they signed players like Fred VanVleet and Dillon Brooks as a veteran presence. However, the players that make opposing teams miss sleep are Alperen Şengün, Jalen Green, and Jabari Smith Jr. Şengün is the Rockets' best scorer this season with 21.6 points, and he also gives them 9.3 rebounds and about 5 assists per game. That's 5 assists from a center, by the way. Green and Smith are doing well, considering the former is in his 3rd season and the latter in year number 2. Green even had extra experience from his days in the G League Ignite instead of college basketball. And rookies like Cam Whitmore and Amen Thompson should develop nicely. Despite this, as we opened with, this team is not a lock to make the playoffs or make noise in the postseason for that matter. I think they're another year or 2 away from being labeled a true contender. Their next game is on Tuesday, February 6th at 7 o'clock. They will be on the road to take on the Indiana Pacers. Let's go over to our random stat. When you think of the steal statistic in basketball, it can be misleading. A player can be credited with a steal by having the ball fall into their hands after a bad pass. But it's not all bad. Oklahoma City Thunder star Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who is now a prime MVP candidate with Joel Embiid out, leads the league with 2.3 steals per contest. He's also the only player to average more than 2 steals. As of this episode, the Thunder are hovering around the top 10 in points allowed by opponents, and SGA makes up exactly 1/3 of his team's steals per game average. Not too shabby. Other players in the top 5 in steals per game in descending order are Donovan Mitchell with 1.9, De'Aaron Fox 1.8, Kawhi Leonard 1.7, and DeAnthony Melton and Paul George are tied for 5th at 1.6. Players like Leonard, George, and Melton are all known as staunch defenders, especially the former two. Mitchell and Fox can definitely keep up on defense, but I wouldn't say they're in line for a spot on the all-defensive first team. So a bit of advice for anyone facing Oklahoma City. Don't get too cocky with your dribbling moves around SGA. He might take it the other way for a score. Finally, let's go to Game of the Week. For this week's Game of the Week, let's go with the Sacramento Kings at Cleveland Cavaliers. This game is tonight, Monday, February 5th at 7 o'clock. Both teams come into this matchup with a winning streak. The Cavs have won 5 straight, and the Kings have been victorious in their last 2. Sacramento won the other game in this season series at their place, 132-120, back on November 13th. Domantas Sabonis was 1 rebound shy of a triple-double for the Kings, and Evan Mobley had a double-double of 16 points and 12 rebounds for Cleveland. This will be a battle of 2 young teams on the rise in opposite conferences. Obviously, since they're not in the same conference, we won't see this matchup again until next year, unless they both make an improbable simultaneous finals run. The good news is that no matter the result, both teams have an easy game after that. Sacramento hosts the Pistons and Cleveland plays at the Wizards. Give me the Kings 110-103. Well, that's all the time we have for today. If you haven't already, make sure to follow me on social media. I have 2 Twitter accounts and 2 Instagram accounts. The podcast accounts are under @Diehlman_NBA for both Twitter and Instagram. My personal Twitter is @LarryDiehlman18 and my personal Instagram is @Mr_Sports18. They are also in the description on SoundCloud. And don't forget to spread the word about Diehlman at halftime. See you next time, fellow Hoops fans.